finding our clients' why. How can we dig deeper into their emotional reasons, and how can we uncover and understand their own motivation to change and to change consistently? Please take a second to subscribe if you want more videos on motivational interviewing and how to coach better as a nutrition coach. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can be almost anyhow." And a common advice among fitness professionals is when your client struggles to take action or to take action consistently, then you have to find their why. You have to dig deeper into the emotional, deep reasons to change. Because the assumption is if we have strong emotional reasons to change, if we have a strong why, then our clients will push forward. And that is true. But I also want to discuss in this video how there are a couple of misconceptions around this idea that are potentially holding you and your clients back. And towards the end of the video, I will give you very specific, very practical and easy tools that you can use to dig deeper into their why and understand the deeper reasons why they want to change. So the first misconception around the why is that it has to be explicit. So with the idea of finding why, or also the common exercise of the 5 whys, where you ask, why do you want this? Why is that important? Why is that important? And you dig deeper, deeper and deeper, is the idea of, oh, why has to be explicit, but it doesn't have to. We can take action based on our feelings of where our inner compass drives us long before we can clearly articulate our why. So one of the misconceptions is that digging deeper into the why is more important than taking action. And that's not true, because in a way, taking action is a way to calibrate their inner compass. Your client may think they want this, or they may think this is the deeper reason, but only if they practice that, if they go in that direction, they understand, oh, this is really what I want. So please don't think that, oh, my client hasn't very clearly written out, fleshed out why, that they cannot change, or that you cannot focus on changing until they have this very explicit, articulated reason for change. So always in coaching and in so many other areas of our lives, action comes first, and the reasoning or the articulation for that comes second. This is super important to understand, because our clients very often are motivated, very much to do so, but often they do something else instead. So we think, oh, their why is not deep enough, they're unmotivated, they don't understand why this is important. When in reality, they are torn apart between two different things, between wanting to eat ice cream and wanting to lose weight. And before we not resolve this tension between wanting to change and don't wanting to change, our clients will not move. So we have to understand that removing roadblocks to change, taking action, is so much more important in the beginning than assuming that our client's why is not strong enough. And I want to be clear what I mean here. I have seen coaches spend a considerable amount of time trying to dig into a client's why to understand the deeper reasons why they want to change, while completely missing some of the biggest roadblocks to change. So if you assume, oh, my client needs this very strong, emotional, written out reason why they want to lose weight, and you don't look at all at some of the things that are holding them back, then you're doing your clients a disservice. We have to understand, if we spend so much time on finding their purpose, the reasons why they want to change, without removing everything that's holding them back, it's like we are trying to swim faster against the current. We're spending so much time working against something instead of changing the direction or changing the resistance and moving with the current. So this is super important to understand. Digging deeper and understanding our client's motivation to change is very important, but we first have to remove all the reasons why they cannot change, or the roadblocks, because then a much smaller why could be sufficient to get them to take action. If there's no resistance, then taking action, doing something, changing the way they eat is so much easier than instead of trying to overcome all these reasons with a deep emotional, compelling why. So that's why I often talk about the barbell strategy. We have to be very good at both ends, not in the middle, at both ends. We first have to remove everything that is blocking our clients from changing. And then, as a second step, we need the strong emotional reasons to change. First, remove everything that's blocking them from changing, and then we give them a lot of good reasons, or we find all their good reasons to change. Because that in the end means they swim faster with the current. So, how does it look like? First, we have to make sure that we remove ambivalence and resistance. And we will explore both ambivalence and resistance here in a second, so you have very practical tools how to do that. The second step is that we make things too easy. Again, the idea of trying to dig deeper into their why is we collect so much emotional energy that everything is possible, when instead we could live with smaller, not as compelling reasons to change, but we make it super, super easy to change. So we remove all the reasons why they cannot change. Then we make it super easy to change. And then as a third step, we add a lot of things that compel them to change. That's so much easier than trying to climb a huge mountain and finding all the inner strength to do it. So what is resistance? Resistance is a combination both of sustained talk and discord. You can think about sustained talk, everything that is actually going well or okay for the client, things that they don't want to change. And discord is a disconnection between the coach and the client. And you can think about it a little bit as they are getting angry about your behavior. They don't feel heard, they don't feel appreciated. They have this feeling of, oh, my coach is not on my side. And then negative emotions come up. And this is super important to understand, that this can break their efforts to change. Think about it. You have someone in front of you that you want you to help. So you're the client and you want the coach to help you. But suddenly you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel heard, you don't feel understood, you don't feel listened to. So all these negative emotions build up. And this is the resistance. It's almost like, no, I don't change because coach said I should. Resistance, especially discord, is the biggest predictor of no change. And the motivational interviewing research is very, very clear on that. So we have to very carefully manage resistance, because this is what is in our control. We can manage their resistance. And if you want to learn more how to do it, I link a video here where I give a lot of tips and daily practices that you can use to make sure that you remove resistance as much as possible. The second part is ambivalence. Ambivalence is the state of worrying about change, about feeling confused about change. And you probably had this yourself, maybe when you started coaching of, oh, is this the right thing for me? Do I want to be an entrepreneur? Do I want to work for something? If I change my career, is it the right move? Am I even able to do it? So ambivalence is a very normal part of change. And we have to very carefully and skillfully explore ambivalence, because think about change in stages or levels. So there's the part where clients are not ready or they're just getting ready to change. So think about it as, oh yeah, I'm thinking about changing. And maybe I'm thinking about what is good about change and what's not good about change. And now you're sitting in front of your coach and they're trying to dig deeper into all the reasons why you should change, or you're pushing to change, giving advice and why it is so important. And suddenly all you feel is this, oh, don't you see all the other reasons why I shouldn't change? And you create this tension of the coach is pushing the client towards change, but they are not ready to letting go of the reasons why it is bad to change. And then you try to come up with all the reasons why they should change, while neglecting all the good reasons why they shouldn't change. And this is where digging deeper into their why can be so counterproductive, because in a way you're creating much more tension through the idea of, oh, let's dig deeper into it, instead of potentially giving a voice to all the reasons why they shouldn't change. Understand and listen to where they are on the spectrum of change, and adjust your coaching and your motivation interviewing accordingly. And if you want to see a video on how to explore the different stages of change and how to move clients from one stage to the another, let me know in the comments below. The key ingredient that we now need to understand, where is my client on the spectrum of change and what are their reasons for change? So what is their why? How can we find it? The key idea is change talk. Change talk is essentially everything that the client says that favors change. So this could everything related to their desire, like I want to eat more vegetables, or their abilities, where they mention, oh yeah, sure, I can train 3 times a week. Maybe they have reasons like, if I lose weight, I feel more attractive, or there's a need like losing weight is important so they can get rid of their medication. And these, you can think about them of the early stages of change. They're thinking about change. And there is also a step further along the spectrum, and that's change talk in form of commitment. So I will work on my sleep, or I will train 3 times a day, 3 times a week, sorry. So notice how these little changes of, oh, I could train 3 times a week, oh, I can train 3 times a week, and I will train 3 times a week, are different stages of readiness. And then there's the final step of, oh, I started to train 3 times a week, or I've downloaded this app that reminds me to drink water regularly. And here's what I really want you to understand, is that their change talk is their why. So if we listen carefully, our clients tell us all of their reasons to change all the time. If we are able to elicit change talk through the things that we do or that we say, we can grab and pull all the reasons to change out of them. The challenge here for us is, first, how can we elicit change talk? How can we make sure that our clients talk about things that favor change? And the second part is, are we able to listen and reflect that back skillfully to them? One of the major challenges for especially newer coaches to recognize change talk is that it is always intertwined with sustain talk. So a client might say, oh, I want to sleep better, but I have to work on this important work assignment. Change talk and sustain talk in the same sentence. And this is how ambivalence shows up. I want this and I want this. If you want to see an example of change talk intertwined with sustain talk and how to resolve it, check out the video here where I recorded a coaching demo, where I also break down how I went through the conversation, what I did. So let's look at a simpler example. I really want to lose weight, but I don't have the time. I've tried before and it's really hard. You can see how change talk, I really want to lose weight, and sustain talk, I don't have the time, are intertwined. And if we then start to ask, okay, why is wanting to lose weight important to you? And why is that important to you? And why is that important to you? The common advice around the 5 whys and digging deeper and focusing on one part, we completely overlook the biggest roadblock. I don't have time. This is why the barbell strategy is so important. If we can first address I don't have time, then our clients might already start to take action because the desire is already there, but something is blocking them. This is very important for me that you understand it. Lack of motivation or a weak why or whatever you want to call it most often is unresolved ambivalence. And this is so critical because there's so much that we can do about it. Because think about it, when a client doesn't follow your advice, then very often we start to reiterate it with greater authority, or we try to push or convince them. Maybe we use rewards, or we get angry, give them some tough love. And we characterize our clients as unmotivated or they lack insight. We essentially think about them as flawed. And all this time we're blaming them, we are labeling them, even if we have the best of intentions, we are not addressing the real issue. We are not addressing that there are things that they don't know how to overcome. They want to change, they want to lose weight, but there are things like managing their time that they cannot address, they don't know how. So this is why I reiterate the barbell strategy so much. Finding the why is critically important, no question about it, but it comes at a later stage. We first have to make sure that nothing is blocking them from changing and that we address all the reasons why they are not changing. How can we resolve ambivalence? One part is with open-ended questions. So we explore future goals and personal values. We can ask questions like, what would you like your health to be like in 5 years, or what is important to you? We can explore and give voice to the pros and cons of change. The 4 crazy questions, for example, that I talk about here in this video are a way to explore this. So what is bad about changing? What is good about changing? And also, especially if you're a little bit more, if you have a little bit more time pressure, things like the importance ruler can be very helpful strategies like, oh, how important on a scale from 1 to 10 is this goal? And why is it not a 0? Now they are telling you all the reasons why it's so important to them. And what do you need to get to a higher number? Now they're telling you, okay, this is blocking me from change. And in 3 questions, you get really deep, really fast. Here are a few more things that you can ask to elicit change talk. You can explore all the disadvantages of the right now, of the status quo. So what worries about your blood pressure? What difficulties create your drinking habits? You can look at the advantages of change. What advantages would it have if you drink less? Or how would you feel if you lose weight? We can look at the optimism for change. So what strengths could you use to make a change? And something that I like to use, especially with clients who are still very unsure, is imagine someone like you would try to solve this problem. How would it look like? You can see how adjusting imagine someone like you removes the pressure from commitment. They don't have to commit, but they still think about how they would do it. And the last part that you can explore is the intention to change. So in what ways would it help you in the next 5 years, or how could you do things that you can't do right now by changing? We are right now in the midst of finding their whys. We are asking questions, and we're creating an environment where our clients dig deeper into their own motivation to change. And now, this is critical, what a lot of people get wrong. It's not so much about the questions. There are no magic questions. It's the idea of that we as coaches listen and that we reflect skillfully. Reflect is not asking another question and another question. It's understanding what the client is saying and maybe adding a touch of meaning to it. And I talk about reflections extensively in the video that I've linked above. And the idea is you respond very strategically. You nurture, you reflect the part that wants to change. So if your client has ambivalence, you focus on the part that wants to change. You never reflect the sustained talk, why they cannot change. You always reflect why they can change, why they want to change. And over time, you build layers of commitment. And at some point, you have moved your client along the stages of change, so they are ready to commit, or maybe to at least plan next actions. And let me reiterate this, even though I may sound like a broken record. You remove resistance. So you remove all the reasons. You remove resistance, everything that you do that holds the client back from change. Then you explore ambivalence, you explore why it is good and why it is bad to change, so they can feel it and overcome it and work through it. And in this process, you respond, always reflecting back with why change is important to them. You give back to them the reasons why they want to change. And this is finding their why. You allow them to feel and process and get into the reasons why they want to change. And you don't have to make notes all the time and write this in a really nice paragraph, or maybe even the idea of the why should be one sentence. It's not necessary. It's the idea of they can take action first. And eventually, maybe they want to write it down and have it fleshed out in all their parts. But if you remove all the reasons why they cannot change, if you make it too easy, and then you connect their reasons to change with the things that they want to do, then change becomes suddenly super easy and coaching becomes a lot of fun. So let's imagine you're doing all of this. You're removing resistance, you're exploring ambivalence, you're listening and eliciting change talk, you're reflecting change talk back, you're building commitment, but still nothing changes. Here are a few things you can do and explore to see, okay, where may I be wrong? First, make sure that you're not reflecting sustained talk. Don't focus so much on, I don't like vegetables. Then instead focus on, okay, what do you like? If they say, I don't have the time to work out, then, okay, what do you have time for? How do you move in your day-to-day? I cannot spend money on health foods. Maybe they need a couple of tools to see, oh, yeah, I can eat healthy foods on a budget. Don't focus on the sustained talk. Focus always on turning it into change talk. Then, and I have emphasized this hopefully enough, you do things that cause your clients not to change. You need to learn what these reasons are, how to detect them, and how to stop doing it. And a few things that you can do is emphasize their choice. You, client in front of me, you are in charge. You can decide if you want to change or if you don't. I love you and I hug you and I feel and I think you're valuable either way. And I've linked the video above and also in the comments of how resistance sounds like, how you can detect it, and what you can do as a daily practice as a coach to avoid resistance. Then if you don't see changes, consider where they are on the stages of change. If they are not ready or if they're getting ready, you cannot really assume big changes. And this goes together with changes broader than behavior. They may make some new decisions. They may have a different attitude towards fitness or health or nutrition. They may have some resolutions where they say, oh, I want to do this. This is important to understand, from I don't like vegetables to, oh, maybe I could try a vegetable. That's already change. You might think, oh, that's not enough, they are not losing weight. But for them, that might be already a huge change. Maybe that's the first time ever in their life where they even considered that they might like vegetables. And then there's one part that we always have to consider, and that is a desire to improve. If you cannot see anything, if there's no desire to improve, if there's no desire to aim upwards, to make something happening, if they're always blocking, then they may not be ready yet. And you either need a little bit more time or maybe you need to let go of the client. But a desire to improve is the minimum that we need as coaches to work with our clients. And finally, I want to show you a technique that you can use to turn sustained talk into change talk. This is a little bit of a crazy technique, and it takes a little bit of time, so it's not something that I recommend that you always do, but you can do it with clients where you struggle to elicit change talk, or clients that are highly resistant, or if you have clients that want to dig deeper. Some clients like this, oh, what am I actually doing? Why is this important to me? This is a cool technique that you can use for that. You start with the disadvantages of the status quo. What are the things that they don't like about the current situation? What are the things that they would like to stop doing? What are some of the things that they hate? And this doesn't have to be solely focused on fitness and health. This can be related to anything. And then you create essentially a list or a document where you write down everything that comes up. What they don't like, what they hate, what they want to stop doing, everything. And you essentially create a hate list. And very often this can be a lot of fun because for the first time, many clients express what they don't like. And they express everything that they don't like. And it can be a huge relief to get this out. When you have this hate list, review it or let the client review it and find common themes. Can some of the bullet points maybe connected to something bigger? And this is very important where many clients and many coaches go wrong. They start to argue with that. Oh, I cannot eat healthy without eating vegetables. Don't argue with that at the moment. It stops the energy and it stops the flow. So find common themes, but don't allow yourself or don't allow the client to argue with the situation. No, that's not possible, that's not okay. And once you have your hate list and you have found common themes, make a second document or split the page and then turn everything on your hate list into the opposite. What's important here is don't focus on a word-to-word translation. Focus on what's the opposite of the idea. So, I don't like vegetables. Is it all vegetables? Or maybe certain vegetables, maybe green vegetables? This is the idea of, it's not I don't like vegetables, turn it to I like vegetables. What is the opposite of I don't like vegetables? Maybe it's I like pasta, maybe I like meat. Okay, and then you can work with that. Because the cool thing now is you have created a like list. And you can go through the bullet points and again find common themes. And here is the part, now you have a list of all the things that they like, that they want in their life, and that they want to start doing. This can be related to health and fitness, but there are most likely also things that are outside of health and fitness, and your client can start to work on that too. That's no issue. And now comes the part where we start to align their why with their experience. They're getting to experiment. So they have a couple of ideas what they want in their life, why they want to change. And now you find ways to implement that. So if they don't like green vegetables, okay, let's find more red vegetables. They don't like training in the gym, so maybe they start playing soccer. And this is the important part. Change is now about getting more of what they want, while also having less of what they hate. This is the power of this exercise. You don't have to convince the client anymore to change because they essentially created a list of all the things that they want in their life. They want more of this, more of this, more of that, because that also means they have less of the other stuff that they hate. Experiment, try to see how it feels for them, adjust. They very often will notice, oh, I thought this is what I want, but now that I have the experience, I want more of this. And again, go back to the barbell strategy. First, make sure that you're not the reason they are not changing. So remove all habits that could create resistance. Then explore the ambivalence. Even if they have this list, there's still some, oh, I'm not sure if this even is okay for me. And then make it too easy. Let them try something really, really, really simple. Because if they like it, this pulls them towards change. If they like something, they want more of it. And this is less arguing from you and more own intrinsic motivation from them. Some coaching tips here. Let them save both the hate list and the like list on their phone, so can edit it and review it all the time. Small adjustments and changing in directions will be normal and are expected, because we always think what we want, but only when we have actually experienced it, we know for sure. So don't expect this as a one-time exercise. This is something that you will go through again and again and again. Make the like list a daily habit. Let them review it in the evening or in the morning, or maybe both. Let them look at what are all the things that they want in their life and why they want to do that. Because eating more green vegetables means something deeper. Now, eating more red or not green or whatever vegetables means they get something that they want in their life. And make sure that this is really clear, because for us coaches it's simple to jump in and suggest something that they do, but suddenly for them maybe there's a disconnection between what they have on their like list and what they do. So always connect the dots for them. And last but not least, try to make sure that the client is driving this exercise. As much as possible, let them go through it instead of you doing it for them. Because it's so much more powerful if they have a list that they have created with all the things that they want. And there's no resistance anymore. This is all the things that I want, and coach helps me realize it in my life. Thank you so much for watching. I've linked a couple of videos here for you to explore if you want to dig deeper into motivational interviewing when you're a beginner, how motivational interviewing looks like and sounds like with a complete breakdown, and also the 4 stages that every motivational interviewing conversation has to go through.